everyone who saw it, but maybe every people. And the dream to make them accessible for education evolved from Steven Spielberg's experiences on making Schindler's List.
There is a saying in Jews, if you rescue one soul, you rescue the whole. You understand? The whole world. Mm-hmm. And this is my opinion.
And so, the survivors of the Shoa Visual History Foundation was born to record and preserve tens of thousands of Holocaust survivor testimonies for future generations. For the first time in history, we'll be able to navigate through thousands of hours of eyewitness accounts. Groundbreaking computer technology will enable people of all ages around the world to interact with the past like never before.
You know, what does one do in a new country? You gotta learn the language first.
Because most Holocaust survivors are in their 70s and 80s, the Foundation is in a race against time. A dedicated team of historians, filmmakers, educators, archivists, and computer technologists have come together to realize this ambitious goal. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's start at the beginning, in the Foundation's Department of Research and Training. The Research Department works tirelessly to locate survivors through community outreach programs and through existing Holocaust organizations. In an effort to build a team of highly qualified interviewers, the research staff conducts comprehensive training sessions in every region of the world.
What we're doing by doing these kinds of interviews is collecting the source, the material that historians use to recreate our past.
What we have learned in preparing the training and from at the beginning of the project, that there are many different types of interviews. There is a therapeutic interview, a journalistic interview, a historical interview, and we have tried to take the best from each of those.
A
woman that I interviewed was sent to Auschwitz-Birkenau, and she was in charge of sorting and stacking clothes that had been brought back from people who were already gassed. She described how she was sorting through the clothes, and she found a little photo album that she had given her one sister before they left home. And she found it in the clothes, and of course that's when she knew that her own sisters had been sent to the gas chambers. And she kept the little photo album in her shoe for the entire time that she was in the camps, and she was able to save it until after the war.
Survivors of the Shoa, may they help you?
The Foundation relies heavily on a dedicated core of volunteers, many of whom are survivors themselves.
Then I pick up the phone, I can hear instantly who's at the other end. I don't mean man, woman. I mean, is it a survivor? Is it a child of a survivor, second generation, third generation sometimes, grandchildren? Is it somebody who wants to volunteer, somebody who has heard of somebody who's somebody? And then sometimes it comes with, the story starts coming out.
All my family was wiped out. Uncles, cousins, grandparents, all of them. I'm the only one.
On any given day, the Foundation's worldwide regional offices are a hotbed of activity. The regional coordinators are responsible for scheduling and booking the interviewers and camera crews.
On a day-to-day basis, what we're responsible for is coordinating all the interviews. And these people have contacted the 1-800 line. They've either read about our project, their sons and daughters, their grandchildren may have called in, saying that they want their parents and grandparents giving testimony. And we tell them that we want to come to their home, we want to know about their life before, during, and after the war. So the interviewer has to be really somebody that's caring, that's open. There's definitely a matchmaking process.
It should be no surprise that the logistical challenges of international production are tremendous. The production department, on a day-to-day basis, plans and implements interviews around the clock in over 30 languages.
A year ago, there was just a few people here, and we were just dreaming about this, and it's happening, and I get a chill. I just go, and that to me is amazing, that we are really international, that our outreach is global, and that we're bringing these people together.
The survivors in Russia are very poor. They're very lost. They suffered after the war. They went to camps, to gulags, and to jail because they applied for visas to go to Israel. So it's not very pleasant.
There was a gentleman who called me after his testimony, and he said, "I've never spoken of my experiences before. My parents were killed at Auschwitz over 50 years ago, and this allowed me to give them the proper burial that they deserved, because I wasn't there when they died." And he was so gracious, and he was so thankful, and I'm sure that he's able to have better sleep at night now.
Once an interview is completed, the original tapes are immediately shipped to the Los Angeles headquarters, where they're carefully checked in and added to the archive.
It was a life full of nightmares. A Jew couldn't make a living no more. A Jew couldn't go out on the street no more. They dislocated you. They beat you up. It was just impossible. I grew up with every time my father went out or my mother went someplace or something, till they came back. I mean, it was just shiver and shake.
The cataloging department is where history meets technology. Every interview is carefully watched by a team of catalogers, each with extensive historical knowledge. Especially designed computer programs enable them to index the content of every interview. This system will allow people to locate testimony about any specific topic mentioned by the survivors.
The cataloging is done with the most up-to-date library science methods. At the same time, the Library of Congress and some of the traditional methods aren't enough, so we have to develop also Holocaust-specific cataloging and indexing. So it's a kind of a marriage between technology, library science, and history.
Ich hab dich so viel lieb, soll's sein auf mir gubei. Aha, je Heimat heißt, ich hab dich lieb. I love you so.
Once the testimonies are collected, the Foundation will make them accessible for education in a variety of ways: documentaries, CD-ROM programs, and books. But the most groundbreaking means of distribution and the backbone of the archive will be the online access. Computers such as these will be housed in museums, universities, and Holocaust organizations throughout the world, providing access to the entire archive of testimonies.
This is what we, I guess, could call technically the user interface, but in a way this is what makes this technology, perhaps for the first time, emotional.
Well, it's the faces.
Every face you see is a life.
Yes.
And fortunately, in the case of survivors of the Shoa, these were lives that were spared from the Holocaust and lived to tell us about what happened to them. After they give testimony, 2 to 5 hours of testimony, they bring their families into their homes, and we photograph their families and all the generations that exist today because of their existence. And to really show that, you know, indeed, you know, if you save one life, you do save the world.
And the vacuum that exists because of those that perished.
And all those that perished, you know, who could have survived to have found the cure for cancer, the cure for AIDS? Yeah. You throw away science, you throw away medicine, you throw away the future. And we're trying to recover some of that, and we're trying to make people learn about why this must never, and even in microcosm, ever happen again. So we move through this this world of faces yesterday, today, and tomorrow. So what we have here is all the names of all the survivors. There will eventually be, in the first 3 years, 50,000 testimonies rescued from the 300,000 survivors that still exist today. But in 10 years' time, there will not be that many survivors. So it's a race against time to get as many survivors to testify on videotape as possible. So with every name, you'll see a picture and a small little summary of who they are. So I can type in a name, Henry Rossmarin.
People who would teach, Hitler kids. When I was liberated, I was 19 and a half.
And what this essentially is Henry has just given 2 to 5 hours of testimony about what happened to him in the Holocaust. Before the Holocaust, what was his life like? What was the life like during it? Who did he lose? Who survived?
You put 5.5 years back into your life and try to catch up.
Let's talk about his wife. Janet talks about their meeting. Tap on that, and I can press play.
Then I was thinking about him in concentration camp, but I didn't know nothing. If we ever meet together, but it's a fate done, and we're together.
He plays the harmonica, which is why he survived. This saved his life. when the survivors are speaking, almost like a online living documentary, automatically maps and pictures of themselves and actual photographs, documentary movies of the ghettos they were in, the forced labor camps they were in, will automatically be triggered by what they're saying, and at appropriate moments will scroll on. So you're looking at almost a living document you are watching a living document of one's experience in the Holocaust. I really feel that this needs to be taught in schools. I think the lessons of tolerance, the subject of racial hatred, which encompasses the Holocaust as well as black slavery, what our country did to the Native Americans, these are all stories that really are about hatred and intolerance in various forms. And I thought that my next duty and pleasure was to find a way to take all the survivors who had come to me and said, please tell my story. Not to so much cast another actor to play them, but let them be themselves and find a way to document their truth. And then how can we share those experiences with everybody who either wants to learn about them voluntarily or through the school systems in this country and around the world must learn about what happened to them.
You know, it's a life. You know, you get to see someone who's talking about their experiences and what they've been through. It's like it impacts you even more than a book would.
This doesn't just affect one group of people, but affects everybody, we as human beings, and all over the world, not just Americans, not just Europeans, not just Africans, Asians, but, you know, we're all in this together.
We take life for granted, and they went through so much, and they appreciate life, and some of us who have everything in life aren't able to appreciate it, and I don't know, it just made me value life more.
Schindler's List was just a little stone which started a big avalanche, which is called Shoa, Testimonios of the Shoa. And I'm definitely sure nobody can stop it anymore.
People have to learn that there's no difference between other people. Whether it's their color, whether it's their religion, it doesn't matter. We're all the same. And we're all basically here for the same purpose, the same reason. And that's to live, let live, and enjoy life. And it's so easy to fall into this cataclysmic chasm of hate. And I think education is the cure.
As we pass into the 21st century, the world, particularly Europe, will inherit an undigestible piece of history, Shoa, which cannot be understood, may not be forgiven, and must not be forgotten. The only gift to the spirits of the dead and the remaining survivors is to say in all grief and in all anger, this did happen.
For more information, please call 1-800-661-2092 in the United States and Canada, or internationally 818-777-7802. Or write to Post Office Box 3168, Los Angeles, California, 90078.
"50 years later, there is still so much that we can learn from the people who witnessed and lived through the Holocaust. Lessons about life and hope and the devastation that can come from intolerance. The interviews you've just seen are only a glimpse into the first testimonies collected by the survivors of the Shoa Visual History Foundation. Shoa is the Hebrew word for Holocaust. And this nonprofit foundation has been established to videotape tens of thousands of interviews with Holocaust survivors. Conducting interviews around the world, around the clock, in every language, the foundation is not only assembling an invaluable historical archive, it's using breakthrough computer technology to revolutionize how history and cultural tolerance can be taught and learned for generations to come. And long after the last survivors are gone, they'll still be able to speak with us, and we'll still be able to learn from them. The devastating events of the Holocaust didn't happen to faceless numbers. They happened to people just like the ones you've seen and heard from. Men and women and children with names and faces and families and dreams. People just like us. Listening to them, it's our hope that we can bring attention to the lessons of tolerance and understanding for now and for our future.
As one Holocaust survivor said, "I don't want to forget, but I want to forget." The incredible stories you just heard from the survivors of the Holocaust will help to ensure that we never forget. Chrysler Corporation is proud to be involved with the Shoa Foundation and the United States Holocaust Memorial Museum in Washington, D.C. We hope that generations to come will visit the museum and will view the works of the Shoa Foundation and keep the message of the Holocaust alive. All of us at Chrysler Corporation thank Steven Spielberg, the Shoa Foundation, and Turner Broadcasting for this meaningful and important program.